people before or saw some.
I thought I saw something over there.
Sometimes if you just stand here and watch, something will
Let's just stand here
come
and
out.
watch. I'm not going anywhere else. This is where I'm staying. I'll go back to my school right here.
I'm thinking I hear footsteps.
That's why I got off the road. I've heard them right here too. Just saw something. I'm doing what you told me to, taking pictures of you. Some of them. Yeah. I'm gonna start an EVP.
Week we bring to you the subject of hauntings, intelligent hauntings, residual hauntings, portal hauntings, and poltergeist hauntings. As always, I am Brother Wade, and this is Chief Investigator Jerry Smith right here next to me.
Hi, how is everyone?
So, Jerry, let's first talk about what these things are. We have one that is the poltergeist. Really quickly, let's get this out of the way because I don't necessarily believe what is all around for it. You may. It means a noisy.
Ghost in German.
Yes. What's your opinion of this noisy ghost? I would say it would be intelligent to open cupboards, to do stuff,
Well, my opinion
to
is
manipulate its environment.
my opinion is a little different than yours. I think it's just negative energy comes from negative energy, and it's projected onto people from their negative energy and their thoughts.
So
Say like a teenager, it's usually associated with teenagers and women, and it wreaks havoc with their senses, their being.
so it's an environmental influence.
Some of it's environmental. I do believe it's paranormal, but it's environmental as well.
Now, a lot of people do believe that it comes from teenager women, but I've seen cases where it just happens to be there for some reason. Um, a lot of times you see them in kitchens or restaurants where it's smashing stuff, moving stuff. I would more, in my opinion, think it's an intelligent haunting to manipulate its environment, to know how to do it, to know what to open or know what to throw, know what to do.
I see.
You got to have some kind of intelligence.
I do see your point. I do see where you're coming from with that, and it's very possible. There are a lot of similarities between it.
Yeah, and it's also like the second one we're going to talk about really quick is another one that I find the intelligent haunting is the portal haunting. Now they claim it's new. They claim it's something that's being studied. Personally, I think we've studied it all our lives in this field. And that is portals. What we mean by that is it was brought to us from somewhere else.
Some other dimension or some other space and time.
Realm, dimension, maybe in a Ouija board is the best example I can say. You called
yes.
forth
yes.
something.
I've had experience with that.
Some kind of magic. You called forth something.
I don't know about magic. Maybe laws of physics, possibly scientifically.
Well, there's a lot of religions like Wicca where we see people have summoning circles and they summon other entities to come into this world and help them, or I don't know, be with them, or you know, a lot of it I don't really understand, but they make a circle around themselves or a circle where they capture this thing like it's an insect or something.
Yeah, a protection circle.
It's like the spider in a jar theory, you know.
Or a moth to a flame type deal.
Yeah, but isn't that dangerous? Isn't that...
Yes, it's very dangerous, but if you know what you're doing...
Like capturing a wasp. If you're going to play with forces that you don't understand, it could backfire very badly.
Yes, it can, and I've seen it backfire quite often.
However, wouldn't we categorize that as intelligent?
Yes.
Wouldn't we categorize that as something that knows it's there and can do stuff?
I suppose so.
A mind of its own, if you would?
Yes.
Maybe even another life form, an alien life form?
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, I mean, demons are an alien life form.
Yeah, I wouldn't
They
go
are
that...
entities. They are living things that are of this world, or not of this world, should we say.
Yeah, but not of this world means up there, man. Up there, not below. No,
yeah.
Man, not galaxies away in Star Wars and Star Trek.
Well, that's a whole nother subject, but...
Let me abduct you.
That might happen. We might have an alien entity pose as something else. We've seen it. I've heard of it. You're just waiting to laugh at me.
No, I'm not.
But I do believe there is an interesting concept here, that these things that come through portals may be other life forms that we are not prepared to have here.
For me, I'm sorry, but that's a stretch.
But it doesn't mean they're not intelligent.
Yes, they're intelligent. But I don't believe that they're from outer space, or I believe they're from another dimension or realm, but that's different.
And what's the difference in outer space and another realm?
Realm's not space.
Whatever.
Realm is not space. Realm can mean a lot of different things.
So there's a little island in the land of Mario that these things come from?
No, time and space works differently. Think about it.
Yeah, but
time and space would be a realm, a different dimension. Dimensions are based on where you currently are. They go from one place to another, but it's a different scenario. It's a different dimension.
Yeah.
Like everything's different in a different dimension. It's a complicated issue.
Yeah. We're going to have a whole show talking about that stuff. But we're going to do it when we can...
All right, well, let's go back to what it actually is.
Which I believe it would be an intelligence on it.
Yes.
I believe that it would be something with a thought process to know what it's doing.
They have an agenda.
It could.
It all depends on what type of intelligent
An independent mindset. Yeah, an agenda, I don't know. I'd never seen one come through with a plan and a calendar and some appointments to stuff to do.
Well, they don't do that.
But if you set an agenda as in its purpose is something and it's going to fulfill what it wants to do, then yeah, it could have an agenda.
Yeah.
Very dangerous agenda. And that leads us to talk about the intelligence haunting, where things that know they're there. They know we're there. They,
Try to communicate with us. Something that
yes,
communicates with us.
and some,
Tries to manipulate the environment that it's in.
yes, and something that uh, knows that it may not be wanted or is wanted,
Yeah.
depending on the circumstances. A lot of intelligence hauntings also, like you said, have a plan or an agenda.
Yes.
They want something or they need something,
Some are negative, some are
or
just
they think they need and want something.
yes.
Um, and a lot of the intelligence hauntings, unlike the portal, would be actual people that have passed on. Um,
That's when you get your human spirits.
yeah,
Human intelligent spirits. But then there's also your negative and demonic intelligent
yeah,
spirits too.
but I'm talking the demonic negative spirits could be some entity or life form besides somebody's disembodied spirit. If somebody passes away, they die.
Well, yeah.
Let's just say it, they die. Their spirit leaves the body and
Well, yeah.
it says, I want to do this and that, and I can do this and that, and I'm still going to have the same powers as I did when I was alive.
Yeah, but nobody really knows.
Nobody knows, but that's what an intelligent haunting is.
Well, I know that.
Something that is living just as it was when it had a body to do so.
But then there are entities that were never alive. They say it's theory they were never alive, and they're demonic in
Yeah,
nature.
yeah. But I don't really think that would be a haunting. Um, it, to me, a haunting is something that involves a ghost or a
Well,
spirit.
yeah, but what would you?
However, in our line of work, me and you both know that when we've had cases where people have had negatives,
Negative energies.
energies.
Yeah.
You may be dealing with
Demonic energies.
spiritual forces, if you will.
Yes, I guess you could use those words.
Things that may have
Negative influence.
possibly been alive,
Yep.
and now they have more power when they're not alive. And that's a whole nother type of thing too. But again, we're just classifying in the simplest form today. So let's move on to the residual haunting. The residual of the all famous, the one I can think of that we're famous around here is Devil's Elbow, the lady in white. You've seen her.
Yep, I've seen her.
I've experienced some kind of odd mist. That's about it. I'm not going to say it was uh, great, wonderful evidence, but it was something to say that's not normal for that to happen. What did it look like? What did?
It was a white mist, bright white mist. It's what we saw from the car.
And it had a human form.
Yes, it had a human form.
A lot of people say they see a real live person, biological
I never saw that, but I saw
being standing there. Um, the story for everybody that's listening is that she was going to a prom or some kind of dance. Either something didn't work out or she was hit by a car.
That's what they say. She was hit by a car.
I've never seen a actual police or accident report related to this case. And you know me, I like to dive into it a little bit deeper than
Yeah, I do it too.
a mysterious saying by the locals. However, this was at a time period when maybe they didn't have the kind of things we do today. Things weren't always cataloged in a decent form.
Things weren't recorded all the time.
Um,
Or they were lost too.
yeah, or for whatever reason, it was not important to keep that accident around.
No,
That
obviously.
paperwork would get shifted for better and more relevant paperwork, if we can say it that way. But whatever happened, it happened enough to leave an imprint in the cosmos, universe, whatever you want to call it, um, of that particular area of the world, like so many others. Gettysburg comes into mind. I know you haven't been to Gettysburg. I have.
No, I want to. Maybe we can go one of these days.
I believe I did see a Union member, a soldier, walking in a field. It was somebody in blue. It was not a reenactor. It was over by Sachs Bridge, which is a famous place. It is haunted. We did get two EVPs there. Another thing was by this other area on the battlefield. We saw some people that said they saw some uh, Confederate soldiers,
Yeah.
gray uniformed soldiers, which I don't know if all the blue and the gray and all the colors and all that meant what side they were on, but I'm going to go with the most prevalent of gray uniform was to the Confederate side, the southern side.
Yes, definitely.
The southern states of America is what it was called then. Um, and they said they saw something. Now, was there anything there? No. But the cannons in the middle of the field still have the gunpowder smell. You get a sense of always having to duck. I got a sense that it was a very eerie feeling that I should not be in the field. Um, the feeling I got was very, very odd to the point where it was almost upsetting that this ungodly feeling of something dreadful is going to happen to me. Which obviously it was a battlefield. Obviously, dreadful stuff happens.
Traumatic events.
Yeah. Well, that leads me to, what I'm going to say is that things that were bad, things that were traumatic, things that were not good happened, and they happened quickly. Guys were in war, um, and all of a sudden they're alive 1 minute, the next minute they're done. Their lives are done just in seconds. As quick as I say the word done, everything changes for them. And that is not only bad for that person, but for the person that sees it. And then it repeats itself. Somebody else would suffer as well. And going through all this, going through whatever they went through before that point, it was a war, and I can only imagine what goes through your mind when you're doing that. I don't know. But if it's any of the dreadful feeling that I felt on that battlefield.
Well, it was also the bloodiest battle of the whole Civil War. Over 51,000 casualties,
Yeah, and it's
including
also
both sides.
and it's also the worst casualties on American soil ever. But what I'm saying is, if you're a soldier and you're out there, you kind of know what your faith is, and I would think your spirit and your soul at that point, when you're still alive, is not going to be wonderful when it leaves your body, as if you weren't in a war. Um, I don't think it might be wonderful of somebody leaving their body if they're in the hospital, but being on a battlefield is definitely a place for a ghost to be made.
Yeah, my friend's wife used to go. She'd only do Gettysburg. She was strictly Gettysburg for her paranormal group. I don't know why that's all they did, but they go once a year. They go down to
One of the
Gettysburg.
finest pieces of evidence in history of paranormal investigating has been found there. The soldiers that are walking
Yeah.
repeatedly. And that's a residual video of a residual haunting. The soldiers are walking and then it stops and you can see it somewhere else that they're walking. The perfect place to talk about what a residual haunting is that the soldiers will continue the march. They will continue to run across the field fighting. You'll hear cannon shots. You'll hear, I heard it whizzes past my head. That's like a bee flying past your head. Only I was told it was the gunfire. And it's there. I'm not sure what it was. I'm not sure if all the stories are accurately correct, but there's enough stories where they can't all be wrong. They just can't be.
No.
Another place would probably be if a fire, if somebody's house or apartment burned, a hospital setting, like an emergency room.
Oh yeah, I've been in enough.
Nursing homes have residual
I've been in
hauntings to
enough.
them.
I've been in enough ERs and hospitals to know. And well, recently I was in the hospital, and I saw some residual hauntings. And I believe they were residual. One of them I don't think was. One of them was definitely something that I could not explain. I a friend of mine said I might have even saw the angel of death. I'm
Wow.
not sure. I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but that's what
I'm
he's.
religious, and I don't think an angel would be over death, but
No, but
I know what you're talking about.
it was a shadow person that I'd saw go past me, and that old lady was going, "I don't want to die, I don't want to die." She kept screaming, not screaming it, but moaning it, and it was like something. It was right down where she was, and then she stopped talking, and I heard her. I saw the shadow dart into a room with a door open, and that's the last time I saw it. But when I saw that shadow, I got a creepy feeling.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if it was intelligent or residual, but I'm just not really sure.
I would say that would be something that's intelligent,
I wasn't on
has a purpose to it.
I wasn't on any hospital meds. I was fine. I was actually recovering.
Well, another one is the high rise downtown. We're not going to say any names of these places because I don't want people saying, "Oh, let's go and
Well,
figure
that's why I
this
didn't
stuff
say
out."
anything about the
Yeah,
hospital.
but there is a story of a gentleman who used to live there that his spirit haunts the place. It could either be seen on the elevator
Is it
at
where I
certain
think
times,
where I think it is?
possibly yes.
I've heard of it too.
That the floor he lived on will have smells of the pipe smoke. The type of smell of pipe smoke from the pipe tobacco he smoked. Another thing is the apartment that he occupied has a lot of walking around in it at certain times. There's even a laughter sometimes is heard that was his laughter by the people that knew him. The only thing I don't that's weird about this is the fact that people that knew him say that he'll come to visit. They'll see him in their apartment. And if, to me, if he's visiting somebody, then he's intelligent enough to know. But it could be the spirit just going to the places that it knew only. Let's say, there's only 5 places in the place that the spirit can go to. That would be a residual haunting. There's nothing, he's not manipulating the environment any. They just said that they've seen him standing there looking at him.
Um,
The hallway sees him walking up and down it. That could be the spirit going to the places somehow.
well, there's another place I know. I won't mention the name, but you've been there. Where I was once. I was walking down on the first floor down the halls, and when the apartment side of the place, it was a shelter, and some guy died on my floor originally. He was on my floor, So I'm walking down the stairs and I see, this guy was a big deadhead, a Grateful Dead guy. He wore dead shirts and stuff. One night I was going down to the first floor and I saw somebody with a tie dye, up ahead, and I go, okay. Got to the door, nobody there. Opened the door, nobody there. Perfect example of a residual haunt.
That
And
would definitely be residual.
and I thought I was hallucinating at first, but then I'm like, and then I realized I'm like, wow, I just saw residual haunting.
Another one is a town about 20, 30 minutes away from us. Has a road that had an accident, a very bad accident on it. Uh, some teenagers were killed, um, which uh, that's not something that's good. But why I bring this up is if you go on this road, a lot of people will run off the road, or they see headlights coming at them and then there's no more headlights. Or if you pass the place where the memorial is, you'll see sometimes a female or a male spirit standing there. Oftentimes they'll see a male spirit walking up the middle of the road, and then it disappears at a certain place. Um, a lot of locals will tell you that they hear screeching noises at night from the car. What it did is lost control and slammed into a tree. A lot of people, I've heard it from law enforcement. I've heard it from people that, town folk too, that they'll drive by and see a car off the side of the road. It looked like it needs help. And then when you pull over, it's not there anymore. Um, and people claim that in the school there, you'll see the person's car sitting out there on certain nights,
Huh.
which is a little weird. I don't know if I believe that, but I've been told it by some people that don't really have anything to brag about. Their credibility is all right.
Could be an urban.
Others say it was a pickup truck that crashed, and they were riding in the back of the pickup truck, and that's why there was so much loss of life, which is not a good idea to do
No.
when you're partying. But there's another one that I know of that has now been they took it down, and it's now part of the rail yard, and the road has been detoured around it. But that area was famous for a few accidents, and I have driven through there, and you can see a light sometimes shine on the road up ahead of you, a colored light. It was a green, just looked like a green light in the road. Nothing elaborate.
Yeah.
I've come around the corner there.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Before they did it all, before they redid the road structure up that area, and I thought I saw a colored mist. I guess that's what you'd call it.
What color?
Just floating down this.
What color was it?
It was a pink color.
That's an unusual
An
color.
odd, yeah, an odd coloring for, if it was raining. It was raining that night, but I've never seen pink mist before like
No,
that. And it's not. This was before vaping. This was before they had the legalized marijuana laws. So whatever colored smoke you want to, be experimenting with.
I hate to tell you this, but the smoke color does not change.
Yeah, it's gray or it's blue with tobacco or anything else. Now, some of these vapes do have different colors, but it was before that time. So it's not like somebody drove by, they vaped,
Well, that's what I meant.
and the vape went out the window. But it just lasted, it went down, then it disappeared. And that's another thing. If it's a rainy night and it's fog, the fog kind of settles around. It's there, it's not going anywhere. This stuff just kind of just wasn't there. couldn't have evaporated, but it wasn't elaborate.
No, I understand that.
But it was very odd, nevertheless. Um, I've also been near another railroad accident place up in Syracuse, New York. I and my friend were what they call rail fanning. And he had mentioned it to me that it was an accident up there. And, he is a member of this team, so I can say who he is, Josh.
Yeah.
And Josh said, while we're up here, let's see if we can do an EVP. I said, let's try it. Let's see what will happen. It's a very busy area. They go in and out of this way. About 4 railroad companies use this huge 4 lanes of track, like a 4-lane highway.
Yeah.
And when you cross it, there's a definite red light there, plus the gates for extreme safety because of this accident that happened. Um, while we were there, the gates went down and there was no train. He claims that that is part of what happens. Um, we also, it was very cold on a very warm day, which temperature changes could signify the paranormal.
It can. Yes, it can.
And there was an odd mist at one point during the night that we saw just kind of floating down the tracks. Again, I don't really know what it was.
Could have been a lot of things.
I'm going to chalk it up as paranormal, possibly, maybe.
Maybe.
Just odd at the time it was. But things like that are residual hauntings, which is basically history either replaying itself like a tape recorder over and over, like a broken record.
Stone tape theory.
Or it's a act that is done repeatedly all the time.
Over and over and over. Repeated.
Yeah, like the gentleman at the high rise. Certain times you can smell the pipe smoke. Or the Devil's Elbow lady in white, where on certain nights or certain things are happening or certain events in the village still happen on these, more of an anniversary type thing of something.
Few of the museums around here, without names, I won't mention names. When I was probably a teenager, and one of the most famous ones, see the man in a top hat was doing one of those student tours they did in grade school.
Yeah.
I saw a man with a top hat come down the stairs and disappeared in the wall. I was probably,
in the main big area where the
Yep.
that's
Yep.
what I saw.
and that's another example of a residual haunting.
I think that one would be intelligent, but
Intelligent.
kind of on the fence with that one because what I saw was we were doing a Halloween thing. My job was to
Well, you've been in there more than I have.
be at this small area, or it's a big area, but my section was small at this Halloween thing. My job was to greet them when they came down the stairs and introduce them to a new area. Something they do in haunted houses to kind of stop you from seeing something else, and then you're seeing something new. Kind of be scary at the same time as pause these people to give the group, before them enough time to get out because of whatever acting they were doing. And I happened to just be between the two groups. It was very slow. And at the top of the stairs, this man walked from the right side, stopped at the top of the stairs, looked. I thought, oh, somebody's up there again, whatever. They had security go through. They had other people, this main path to get to the other areas, kind of a middle place. So you saw people quickly go by. And the guy just kept walking and walked right into a wall. You can't walk into a wall And if you do know how and you are listening to our program, please let me know because I'd like to go through a wall.
You can't just go through a wall.
I know that. But if somebody does know how to do this, I think it would be very cool to walk through a wall. Please tell us. But you and I sitting here and everybody listening knows you can't do this.
No, you can't.
And there was nothing on the other side of the wall.
No.
Where this was, you would have ended up outside and probably fell 3 stories down. So either the guy jumped
to his death, which didn't happen,
or there was a mat down there, or what I saw was a residual or spirit doing something it normally does.
Yeah.
And all the stories I get is this section is they keep seeing this guy walk up and down the stairs. And it's almost as if it's repeatedly, every time I've talked to somebody about the museum, they tell me about the guy who walks up and down the stairs. And they disappear, or he walks into the wall, or he gets down to the bottom of the stairs and he's no longer there, or he walks upstairs, goes into a room, and he's no longer there. I don't know if it would be the owner of the mansion, the guy had actually called it his home, or if it's somebody else. There's also rumor of a female maidservant who was there, and she haunts the upstairs area, and you'll just see her walking around, kind of like walking. Different times, going the same direction every time, in the same areas all the time. That's a residual. Now they've changed the museum. There used to be a huge theater there for presentation.
I remember. Yeah.
The Nutcracker play was famous there. Some of the schools would use it to have performances.
I remember.
And they said that there was always a person that would be standing on the stage in the back, and they would just walk off stage. Stand there for all the performances and walk off stage. That's a residual. And now the room that that's in, I have not heard that that spirit has been seen there. So maybe they moved on.
Sometimes when you mess with the environment,
that can attract stuff.
It can also
it can also change what's happening.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it more so attracts stuff than it can get rid of it.
I know.
However, in this case, I've heard that it took care of it. And that leads to what you do about these things. First of all, residual haunting, leave it alone. Simple. Very simple conversation right now. Very simple thing to do is let it be.
Yep. It's just replaying itself.
It's not going to hurt you.
No, it's not.
It's not going to physically manipulate its environment any more than it's already doing. And a little bit such with the poltergeist. You can have your house blessed. You can have people like us come in and help you with fine-tuning what's happening or the energies in your house. But for the most part, I do not believe a poltergeist will do anything more than it's done already. A lot of the glasses and stuff that's thrown, a lot of the cupboards that open, chairs being moved. It's not really going to do more than that.
No, it's harmless.
It's not like it's going to get worse.
It's harmless.
It's going to just do what it does, and you're not going to like what it does, but it's not going to physically
harm you,
do harm to you personally. It's more of an environmental harm than it is a personal harm. And the portal spirits are the same, in my opinion, as the intelligent ones are, which it depends on what they are. I've seen ones that are just minor, and I've been on cases that we've had to personally take care of because it was really bad.
Me too.
However, I'm not one to sit here and say they're all that way. Intelligent hauntings and portal haunting. Let's say the intelligent part of the hauntings and all of that.
What the hell was that?
I don't know. Could be something simple. It could be manipulation of the environment. It could be something that's not happy, something that is happy, that continue like the gentleman in the high rise, or the person in the nursing home. Could be just wanting to smoke a pipe all the time, or it could be something that's very wrong. Now, portal hauntings are a different story. In the case where they can be very dangerous.
Portal hauntings?
That's right. It can be very dangerous.
Yeah, they can be.
And I'm not even going to finish with if they're not done right. Because personally, I don't think that stuff should be done. However, seances and spirit
boards.
communications.
Ouija boards.
Well, that's what people use.
Spirit board.
But we do seances and we do spirit communication. We will not use a Ouija board.
No.
We will not call upon stuff by magic.
Hell no.
Or weird religious means.
Nope.
So when you have a seance and you have spirit communication, you do it in a polite, non-threatening, non-harming, non-odd way, and you do it in a way that's a controlled environment. Now, yes, Ouija boards, people have told me, it's controlled, you can end it, you can do this, it's just a game. Well, I don't think it is.
I don't either.
Now, the Parker Brothers Hasbro thing with a magnetic strip in it that goes around the board,
yeah, that's crap.
might be a funny little game. However,
a spirit board.
you could take a glass,
yeah,
and a pendulum and write yes or no on a piece of paper with a glass, or have a pendulum swing back and forth and still get the same effect that you do with the Ouija board.
I know.
A spirit board
is a real board.
Is something to actually use to call forth things. And I don't even say they're spirits. I don't call them entities, beings. They're things. Because you can call anything. And whatever comes through is like going to the zoo.
It's unpredictable. You don't know.
Yeah, it's like going to the zoo and throwing crackers at the duck pond.
And a tiger.
The swan could come over. A crow could come over. A duck could come over. The flamingos can come over.
Or the lion can come over to eat them all.
The lion could come over. Whatever. The fish in the pond could start jumping all over. It's just like being at the duck pond and feeding the birds crackers. You have no idea what's going to come.
Nope.
No idea. No control over it. The bunch of seagulls will just swarm you and you're done. But there are some people out there, and I'm sure they're listening to this show, who say, I do this, and now you're making fun of me. No, I'm not making fun of you.
No, I'm not making fun of them either.
I'm telling my audience that listens to us that doesn't know what they're doing to not do it. If you are a professional, and there are professionals out there who use these things to call entities, beings, spirits, summonings, they call them.
Yes.
Then that's fine. You're a professional. You are like me when we do spirit communication. You are using your knowledge in a professional environment, in a professional manner, in a controlled manner to do it.
But
what
are we going to say?
I think it's what you're thinking.
Well, but from one of my experiences, one thing you never do is always say goodbye, always exit. Do not leave that board open to something coming out.
Or don't do it at all.
Well, don't do it at all is better.
I don't even think you should. If you do not know what you're doing, and I've had training, you've had training, and those that are listening to this program that I know
Yes.
that do this
Yes.
have training under controlled environments.
Yes.
Something goes wrong, something can be done, as you said, to
Yes.
stop it,
Yes.
to cage the wild animal.
You say goodbye.
When you go to a circus and a guy is in a cage with cats and he's dancing around with them, having them do funny little tricks, that's a controlled environment that if one of those cats decide to do something dumb and mean to that person, it is a controlled environment where the act can be ended, the uncontrolled animal can be put under control, and nobody will be harmed, nobody will be hurt, nothing bad will happen.
What happens when it's an uncontrollable environment like a cemetery? I've done it in a cemetery years and years ago, but I've learned never to do that ever again. And you take it very friggin' seriously, and do not.
Well,
Now I might be saying this right now, but this is a suggestion: do not do it.
I imagine, as I have known with seances or spirit communication, that there are times when you say, I'm not doing this again. I'm not going to do it anymore.
I never
ending
have.
it.
I've never done it before again.
With a seance, you blow out the candle and say thank you.
Yeah.
And you end it because something is not right. But we know what that is. We're trained individuals.
Yes.
The people that do this, that are listening to our program, are trained professionals that have done this for countless numbers of years of maybe that I've done it. And I've done it for a very long time. But, just like that guy at the circus, who's working with those animals, he's done that day in and day out. He did it last week. He's doing it this week. He'll do it again tomorrow. He'll do it next week, next month, next year. Something could go wrong.
Something can always go wrong with a Ouija board.
But the difference between you stepping in that cage and him stepping in that cage is he knows the triggers. He knows the signs.
Yes.
He knows the outcome of what he's doing. If I say
the consequences of your actions.
If we do an EVP session and we want to have a spirit communication with someone, or we would like to have a seance, or we have a environment where we need to talk to a spirit or help a spirit move on, we know what to look for, what to see, what's going to happen, what the predictable outcome is. And if I'm not mistaken, when you did this, you did not have a control environment. You
No.
did not have a predicted outcome. And what happened was bad. And it's taking you years to get over, if you ever do get over it. Because like I've said before, the injuries are not always physical. They can be mental, and they can be generational. Years down the road, it may solve itself. If it ever does, forever you'll live with the consequences.
In the house that I grew up in, when we were really young, me and my sister had a spirit board. We would use it everywhere, And I found out my sister was using it in the house, which was, all fine. But we started using it in the cemetery, like I said. The one time, there were 4 of us. Two of them left without saying goodbye, and me and this girl, that my friend, she's since passed on. She's not with us anymore. We stayed in there and we dealt with the consequences. We started seeing things. We started having noises, being touched, and we finally both said goodbye, and we got up and eventually when we left. And I don't know, maybe a couple weeks later, I explained it to my sister and a bunch of my friends. So my friend has this genius idea to douse it in alcohol and light it on fire and throw it out the window. Now, when this occurred, you could hear it wheezing. The wind was blowing on it, and it caught my house on fire. after that, I will never ever mess with a spirit board again.
And another thing about that is there's no control over what you're doing.
No, I had no control because I was doing something in the kitchen, and I had walked back in and saw them. It was on fire, and I tossed it out. I had to toss it out the window. What choice did I have?
Now, when you say this thing caught on fire, it
You could-
itself
You could
ignited
hear.
itself,
You could hear.
ignited itself.
You could hear it whining. It was whining. You could hear it whining, like the spirits. Something was whining.
Like a kettle, like a teapot.
Yes, but you could hear like voices,
Like it was combusting itself.
yeah. But it was like something was whining.
Yeah.
Like you were hurting something.
Like a human whine or an
Yes.
animal whine. Okay.
Human or animal? I don't know.
And then it just was a fire. Now, in this field, I'm going to explain this very simply. There are flames, but there's no fire. They're magical flames, they're elemental flames, they're
I'm not really sure what it was.
a dimensional flame, but it's not like you have a campfire flame.
No, it was lit on fire until
It was a real wood fireplace fire on your Ouija board, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So the people that are listening can understand.
Yes.
Okay. Because that just sounds weird to me.
Yes, but that's.
But
what
it sounds
happened.
like it was combusting itself.
I
Or
don't
it
know.
was trying to do something.
Yes.
Now, when it caught fire and you threw it, what happened to it? A lot of people say it doesn't burn.
It burned a little bit, and then it went out. But it had burnt when it was burning. It burnt some of the siding in my house. We had to replace the siding on my house.
So it was on the outside.
Yes.
Yeah, so this thing was outside where...
Well, somebody lit it inside. One of my genius friends had an idea to light it inside. And then when I came back in the house, it was lit, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" So I opened the window. Well, the window was open, and I tossed it because I didn't want it, to carry it through my house. That would have been even worse.
Mhm.
And like I said, it caught my house on fire. It was making that god awful whining noise, and I didn't know what it was. Yes, it could have been because it was on fire, but at the same time, I don't know, man. And then for a long time, I had a lot of bad luck. A lot of bad luck.
Now, do you really contribute the bad luck to this? Or, I mean, some people say, oh, I've done it and I lost my job, and really the job was going to lay you off anyways.
I truly,
your car won't, they've had a car accident while you weren't in the best shape of drive anyways.
I really, truly believe that there was something attached to that board, and it had stayed in my house. Like throughout the years, we used to see stuff in the house still. We'd have things occurring all the time. Like even when I left, my sister was still here. She said she.
So somebody here tried to light it, it started whining, it got worse with whatever powers were doing to whatever it was doing.
Yeah.
And it got so bad that you threw it out the window.
I had to.
And then it obviously continued outside with whatever it was trying to do.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about things on fire or combusting themselves on fire, and somebody's saying, hey, that's on fire, we don't think of Parker Brother games.
This wasn't a Parker brother, though.
But, well, that's what I'm explaining to the audience here who's
okay.
listening to this and saying, oh, well, somebody did. No, nobody did anything. These things are made out of wood. They are works of art, in opinion. I don't want to put the people down that make these things because they are a work of art. Very unique. Time is put into it. Some of these things can be very expensive. However, they're going to argue that the intent of what you do with it is like if I make a staff and you go out and decide to play Dungeons and Dragons with your friends and hit each other with it, and one of you breaks your finger getting hit with it, that's your fault. So with that argument, if you take a staff and you go for a walk with it, instead of playing with it and hitting your friends with it. Or if you decide to take the staff and want to play Merlin and do magic and
You and your magic.
summon something, the person that made this staff is going to say it's on you. However, some people do not have that intent when they do this stuff.
No.
They make them because they want to do something. They want to manipulate the universe. They want to do things that are not supposed to be done. Obviously, you guys went into a graveyard and asked for things to come, which is probably an experience in itself. But away from that experience, that's not normal. It's not controlled. Whatever happens, happens at the moment it happens, whether you like it or not. And it's not something I advise. It's not something I think you should do.
I will never do it again.
If you think this stuff is funny to do, I can't say anything about it, but I can say my personal opinion is take our advice and not do it.
Don't do it.
Don't play
With fire.
with this stuff.
It's like playing with fire.
Yeah, I say it's like juggling fire. Someday you're going to catch the wrong end, and you may not be able to let go fast enough, and you're going to burn yourself.
I agree.
It's like skateboarding. Someday you're going to fall off the skateboard, and you're not going to like the landing. And even if you're a perfect skater, even Tony Hawk, a wonderful athlete, a perfect skater, a great person, has fallen off his skateboard and can probably agree with us that sometimes when you fall, it's going to hurt badly.
My advice is to get rid of it. And this is what I did with mine. You dig a hole and you consecrate the ground and you leave it there. You never think about it again.
What happens to it? Does it rot? Because I was told you're supposed to burn it. You're supposed to stick it in holy water. You're supposed to destroy it. And I've even been told to put it on a grill in a controlled fire and destroy it. And then dump water, holy water over it.
I did. I dumped.
And then get rid of it somewhere in nature.
I dumped. Yeah, I did that. I dumped holy water and I fucking burnt it and then I buried it. And then I dumped consecrated salt and holy water on where it was. Where I buried it. I don't even remember where the hell. Well, actually, I do remember where. It's somewhere close by, but.
See, my inquisitive mind says to dig it up, see what it looks like. The other inquisitive mind says leave it the heck alone.
No, I'm leaving it
Concentrate the land every year and just leave it alone. There's some people out there who has also said that wherever this stuff is, whatever this stuff is, should be left alone forever and never dealt with again. And I agree with that.
I do too.
I agree that some of this stuff is just plain too bizarre, too frightening, if you want to use that word. Some
I
people
would use
use
the
that word.
frightening. Yes.
Odd to deal with. And sometimes when you're in this field of the supernatural, the paranormal, you get cases like this that you have to deal with. And we are prepared, we are trained to deal with it. And I remember one case where she would not leave what she was doing alone. I'm not going to go into what she was doing. She wouldn't leave it alone.
Team member?
And we had to walk away from it.
Oh.
We had to say no more. We cannot help you anymore. It was getting mentally and physically draining on us. And I remember in my career of being a paranormal investigator, I've had a few of these. That would probably be the worst. The second one also involved children. The family, again, did not want to do what we asked them to do. Now, I refuse to walk away from a case until it's resolved. But if the person doesn't want to cooperate, you have to do it. And anybody that's listening to this program that's in this field knows, and they've had a time where they've had to say, no, I value my mental health, I value my physical health, I value what the universe will do to me if I don't walk away from this. And the reason I say what the universe will do to you is because there's forces out there that if you continue to play with them, will do things that are far worse than physical and mental. Just stuff I can't explain. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
The people listening know what I'm talking about. We've all experienced it sometime in our lives.
Several times, more than I
we're planning on having
want
another
to.
show on it down the road at some point.
More than I want to experience it. Yes, I've experienced it.
I don't talk about the bad things, but this kind of haunting comes under that category of you must walk away and leave it alone, or experience something you're not ready for.
Something you're not prepared for, and something you do not want.
Now, these hauntings each have their own investigative ways of dealing with them. Each of them have their own unique ways of research to them. Maybe even some of the occult research. If you're into that kind of stuff, you can get more information than what we're giving you here on this program. But for the most part, leaving the topic of portal hauntings is just don't
don't
mess with it if you don't know what you're doing.
No, do not mess with what you're.
It's kind of like fixing a transmission. Unless you absolutely know what you're doing, let a professional handle it.
Yes.
Because you will not be able to drive that car again if you do it wrong.
Yes.
And you may drive that car a little while, but at some point you mess it up, you won't be driving at all. You'll be, in some cases, you'll even have to buy a new car. It's that bad. Now the other hauntings, we're getting time almost here into a hour show, which we're going to try to make our shows an hour. This one was a very small show, very nice topic. And to close, these hauntings are not, we're not here to discourage you.
No, we're not.
If you need help, you can always go up on our website,
twintiersparanormal.com.
You can always send us an email, get a hold of us. If you are outside of our area, we'll do everything we can to help you, or find one of our friends who can help you. All of our services are free.
Yes, they're all free.
I do not believe in charging to help somebody with these the paranormal or supernatural things that happen.
We're here to help people. That's why we don't do that.
Again, if you want to go directly to our show, you want to see our evidence, know a little bit more about our team, www.twintiersparanormal.com. I am Brother Wade.
Jerry Smith.
And this has been the Paranormal World. Till next time, folks.
Till next time.